Welcome to the Shift. Good morning, everybody, and good morning, Lauren.
Good morning.
Good morning. We're fired up today because this is a big one. We've already broken down the agreements and beliefs that have shaped who we are, and now it's time to take this to the next level. And here's the truth. Storms will come, problems are a sign of life, stress, setbacks, conflicts, self-doubt, they're not going to go away. But here's the difference. Most people react. They spiral. They let the negativity run the show. And at the Shift, we don't just react, we regulate. We train ourselves to take back the control of the storm that's inside of us so we can face the storm that's on the outside. And one of the most powerful ways that you can do that is using a tool called hunting the good stuff. This isn't about pretending life is fine, it's about deliberately focusing on what's right, even in the middle of what's going wrong. Because when you keep your thoughts good and not bad, decent and not indecent, full of faith and not doubt, you change your life. So buckle up, lean in, because today Lauren and I are going to show you how to regulate your body, your mind, and your emotions, and how to train your brain daily through hunting the good stuff. So, Lauren, let me kick this to you right away. How important is positivity in your life?
Positivity for me is a game changer. And not to come from a Pollyanna sort of point of view where to put a band aid on it and pretend that everything is positive when it's not. Look at what is happening. Be honest about how you feel and how you're approaching things and what's going on in your life. And look for the evidence. Always look for the evidence. And don't stay there. Don't stay there and spiral. Look around outside of what might be going on because there is always something good. Going back to hunting the good stuff. If you just look around outside of you, it could be something as simple as a beautiful sky, autumn trees. I love autumn colors. They always redirect me when heavy thoughts might be weighing me down. And that can put you back into a mode of positivity and always going back to what can you control? And you can always control what you choose to absorb, what you choose to create and manifest. And you can manifest any day you want, no matter what chaos you might feel that you're in at the moment.
I love that. I love that. It's like you're fueling your mind with positive instead of letting doubt and fear kind of drive your day. I'm a big believer in starting off your day with positives, like what positives are going on in my life. Problems are a sign of life. We all have them. They're not going to go away, but how we choose to react to them, that's the important part. I know for me, a lot of it was like faith in myself and faith in my beliefs. And I'm not talking about faith like my belief in God and all that. I'm talking the inner beliefs that were inside of me that um, I just didn't have faith in myself anymore, and I stopped hunting the good stuff, and all I did was just look at everything that was negative going on in my life, and ultimately, it almost cost me my life. So, I just truly hope that the very first part of this that Lauren and I are talking about, start your day off with positivity, and that whole keep your thoughts good, not bad, keep your thoughts decent and not indecent, and keep your thoughts full of faith and not doubt, it's going to drive your entire day.
And Matt, you hit on some really important things about starting your day. And human nature can tend to be looking on the negative, looking at what's wrong instead of looking at what's right. And it always will be work, but it's worthy work. And I remember I used to do a gratitude list. I don't do a gratitude list anymore, but I do wake up and remind myself what's right in my life. Remind myself of my support network. If I wake up grouchy, I ask myself why and I remember what I have around me that works really well.
Yeah.
And that can be faith, it could be reading something from the Bible, it could be a gratitude list, but just before you start anything, reminding yourself what's going well in your life and what you have.
Yeah. And be careful, out there on social media, there's a lot of these support groups. But what I've noticed is there's a lot of them that will allow people to just kind of wallow. Like I keep seeing these comments go up, and I'm not going to point out what page it is, but where people are just like, you know, it's so hard to deal with my depression when I have nobody to talk to. And I'm like, you're typing on a social media platform this. Why not switch over to YouTube and just be like, search up the power of positive thinking, you know, dig into something that's positive. And many times those algorithms, they want you to stay in that mindset. So be careful what you're looking at on social media. I'm going to encourage that big time. Use it for good, not bad. Mm, You
And
know what?
we now go ahead.
No, go ahead, Lauren. Go ahead.
And again, to social media, this idea that we are so connected, especially now, we are constantly connected. And if there's a chance in any part of your day where you can disconnect from social media, disconnect from news, and just be in the quiet. And I know that for many, that's foreign now. But it's so important if you're constantly deluged with information, disinformation, chaos, and not sitting in a quiet place, that can fuel the spiral into negativity.
Yeah. Yeah. And, for anybody that's listening too, just remember if you're starting to get one of those points where your negativity is driving more mental health issues, please, please reach out, get help. Um, There's so many resources out there that are free nowadays where you can um, get yourself taken care of. And you got to have no shame in it, no shame whatsoever. This is about your life. Um, And the happiest person is the one that thinks the happiest and most interesting and finest thoughts. And that is a 100% fact. And I heard that quote, and it's by Norman Pele. Pele. I want to make sure I said his last name. Promoting positivity. And you know why? Because there's still so much negativity. You touched on the power of silencing the world. And that's an excellent way for you to be able to look at the positives that are going on in your life, not allowing yourself to manifest the bad, but focus on the good. So I know when emotions hit hard for me, what'll help me come back to center is if I can't reach out to, say you, Lauren. Lauren coaches me as well. She's an excellent coach. I encourage you to reach out to her, and she'll help you get back on track to where you need to be. But for me, when emotions hit hard for me, to get myself back centered is I start looking at the positives that are going on around me. And I'm like, you got to be strong, Matt. You got to get yourself together. You've got kids that rely on you. We have an audience that relies on the power of our positivity. And I just take a look back and I'm like, I need to be thankful. I need to be so thankful for these mistakes that have happened in my life because now I have that ability to hunt the good stuff. I'm not sure if you answered this already, but when the emotions hit you hard, what helped bring you back to center?
I go even simpler because I see when you are in a state of heavy emotion, there's a release that has to happen. And so, first, I release, whether it's one, I walk away from the situation and I've screamed into a pillow, I've cried, I've journaled, and then I notice sensory things. I look at colors, I listen to noises, I notice certain smells, and then I focus on what makes me feel better. The
Mm,
smell right after a rain, um, a rainbow, a bird taking a bath. So once I notice just those sensory things, I can pull even more out of it, and then I can see the picture. I can see the bird. I can see or hear the laugh of a child. So those things tend to bring me back to center, pulling myself away from what is deregulating me or what is making me highly emotionally stressed. But the first thing I have to do is sort of remove that steam and not direct it towards somebody else and not direct it toward negative messaging of myself. And then
Yeah,
from there, I go to the sensory.
yeah. That's an excellent drill. A couple weeks ago, or maybe it was last week, I'm going through a program called Rise, and it's for victims of domestic violence. So, which is odd for me to go through it as a man. I'm kind of one of those statistics. So, and it took me a while to get out of the negative mindset, like, hey, I deserved what came to me. And nobody deserves domestic violence. Man, woman, none of that. If you're in a relationship that's like that, get out, get help. Um, don't stay. Because all it's gonna do is just fuel you to be just, oh, you're gonna feel like a horrible person, you know? And as you were talking about noticing the things that are around, I was on the phone with my RISE counselor, and it was a day I was having a really bad anxiety attack. They just come out of nowhere, thank you, complex PTSD. Um, but the first drill that she focused on with me, she's like, "Where are you standing at?" And I was standing outside, and she's like, "What do you notice around you?" And I was like, "Oh, there's a shrub." She's like, "What color is it?" And I was like, "Green." She's like, "What kind of green?" I was like, "Oh, light, dark green." "What are the shape of the leaves?" And she just kept asking me questions. And then it was a rosemary bush. She's like, "Describe that to me." And pretty soon, and it took all of about 60 seconds, and I was like, "Whoa, it's gone." Like, so just using some of those sensory things can really bring you back centered. Reactivity is very easy, but understand that resilience comes when you choose faith over doubt and hope over despair.
Mhm.
And I just encourage everybody to really reflect on that. And I'm going to say it again. Reactivity is easy, very, very easy. But resilience comes when you choose faith over doubt and hope over despair. Our nervous systems, we have, what's the four we got now? It's fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. Um, your nervous system is usually always in one, depending on what's going on in your situation, because we're all trying to survive, whether we're trying to drive down the road. We have Highway 99 over here, and it is the deadliest highway in the United States. I've witnessed it firsthand. I'm like, oh man, I'm going to get whacked on this road. I know it's going to happen. So, but I mean, I've seen so many accidents on that road. It's insane. And, you know, um, but for me, that keeps me alert and keeps my nervous system like, okay, you know, make sure you're not going to overreact if something happens. So that way you can, react deliberately. So, and I think a lot of us, the problem is we're not trying to thrive, and we're just all living in like survival mode. I'm not sure what your thoughts are on that, but I truly believe that
Hmm.
most people just live in survival mode, and they're not like, hey, how do I thrive?
Well, I think that when you live in emotional reactivity, you are in survival mode. You hurt me, so I'm going to hurt you. You snapped at me, I'm going to snap back. And you're no longer thinking, you're no longer using your power. And in my opinion, being able to thrive is being able to stop, walk away, and assess the situation. Your power comes from self awareness. The ability to thrive comes from being honest about what's going on, having tools to be able to deregulate, and becoming self aware so that you can stop, pause, observe, and then move forward.
Yeah. And we're gonna go over some of those exercise later on here throughout this session that Lauren and that I are doing. And but you gotta have that awareness. You know, Dan and I talk about that a lot. Like, how aware are you of yourself? How aware are you of what your negative emotions and the guilt that you carry, what that does to you? You know,
Mhm.
and I briefly touched on this, but back in 2017, um, I was just like, hey, my life sucks. There is nothing good that is coming out of this right now. Um, and my daughter had just moved back with my ex-wife, and which I'm glad she did because she didn't need to see me in the states that I was in. And but I chose to sit there and look at the negative that was going around me and not the positive. And I allowed my PTSD to like just eat me alive, you know. And when you start doing that, you could there's many different routes this could end up going. For me, I would chase unhealthy relationships just to feel something. And why? Because I didn't know how to regulate. And once I realized that my thoughts determine whether I'd be healthy or unhealthy, I could start taking control back. And I had some positivity that came back and it allowed me to, feel some happiness coming back in my life. I look back and having that positive mindset in combat. And sometimes it's really, really hard to have a positive mindset. Um, Dan was a master at this. And he'd always be like, "Let's go. Let's go." And, this is what we signed up for. And being in the infantry, that's an extremely important thing. And for me, I had to be motivated and prepared because I was a point truck. I was usually in the lead truck, and we were in control of making sure the road, we're paying attention. And I would get in my truck and I had an excellent truck crew. Um, and I would just kind of, hey, tell me something positive, guys. Let's get ready to go. And my gunner, he would never say anything positive. He would just sing. And like, all right, all right, all right. And I remember going out this is a funny story, so I do want to tell it. And my driver, we nicknamed JJ. He was a hoot. Like he always was just goofy. And I remember going out on a mission and we were going to be rolling. It was going to be what's called blackout, which meant that we were going under night vision on a road that was known for having IEDs in it. And I had already been blowing up before this. So I'm like, great. When's the next one going to come? you know,
Yeah.
and right before we left the wire, my now good friend Owens was on the gun. We were doing a raid, going after a really bad guy. And right before we rode out on the mission, JJ sang the jingle for the old board game Crossfire. He's like, "Crossfire, you'll get caught up in the crossfire." And that thing was stuck in my head for that entire mission. And we're bounding up to the house, and I'm like, all I'm hearing in my head is Crossfire. But, I just got a good little laugh out of it. And, we stayed focused and it was a very successful mission. Nobody got hurt to include the guy that we were looking for. We were able to find him. He was a very bad dude. He was a bomb maker. And a lot of that's because of the positivity that we carried when we went out on those patrols. And if you go out on a patrol with a negative mindset, well, you'll get somebody killed because you cannot pay attention to what is going on. And when I came home, I didn't carry that positive mindset, and I started allowing myself to think negativity. And that's a long rabbit hole that I could go down. But if you can shift gears and go from negative to positive, and this could be as simple as writing down 3 positive things that you can see, and actually writing them down. Um, it's gonna cause you to shift gears, and it's very freeing. This morning I was doing a lot of writing. I was doing some writing on our session here, and I was like, "Man, this is actually like I'm pumped. I'm really pumped for this because it is such a good thing." And not enough people try to hunt the good stuff. It's so much easier to look at the bad. And we have a lot of bad going on in our country right now. And we're not going to go down a political rabbit hole, but we can see the power of negativity that's going on in our country. And we do need a shift. We need a big, massive shift. And what it's going to take is the awareness that we're all sitting in this big heap of negativity and we're allowing other people to influence that negativity. So you have the ability to cut that out though. Like Lauren said, silence the world, you know, be self-aware. So that way it puts you back in control of your life and don't let anything else control your life, to include a person. I look at signs of, dysregulation. And when you kind of feel your body getting out of balance, what are the signs that you notice for you?
Well, a couple things. Even though people often don't know that I'm on the autistic spectrum, it doesn't change that I am. And so there are triggers. And along with that, I have general anxiety disorder. And so signs are my mind is racing, my breath gets short. But what works for me is I call my autism now, I say I'm having a tism moment.
Love it.
Or if I'm in anxiety, there's certain moments when I'm triggered by my symptoms of autism or I'm in an anxiety moment, sometimes I just need to be there and be through it. And what's really helped me is not having any shame about being imperfect and being in an imperfect moment and dealing with that shame that I felt and just kind of letting go of it and saying, this is where I am and this is what I need. Sometimes I can stop and just say, I need to just move through it. I need to go lay down. I need to go to my safe place. I have safe places and I have certain things that I do that deregulate that may not translate to other people that aren't on the spectrum, but detangling stuff, math, sorting things, that tends to calm me when when I'm in the tism or I'm in a major anxiety attack. And then I can write. And going back to Matt's point about the power of writing, and writing isn't for everybody, but the power of writing is that all of that random stuff that is running through your head, you can throw on paper and it can get you back to a place of rationale. And when you're back to a place of rationale, it's really good to even if you it takes you 10 minutes to think about it, and even if you're in this place of shame or you're hating yourself or in your such space of negativity, forcing yourself to say one good thing about yourself. And I do it out loud because it
Mhm.
helps me release that shame and it reminds me of something good. And sometimes I don't even want to say something good about myself because I'm in such a space of negativity. I'm like, I'm a piece of crap. I'm worthless. I'm awkward. People don't like me, whatever the case may be. I tell myself to stop and say one good thing about myself, even if I don't want to believe it at that moment. And it's amazing the power that it has to sort of chip away and change me back to that place of positivity.
Yeah. I heard, a really powerful thing this morning, and it was from, Lois Hart, I believe it was. And she teaches this, and for people that fall into a place of negativity, or there's a problem or adversity that they're about to face. And what she teaches is for people to be like, all is well. I'm working to my highest good, and out of this situation, only good will come, and I am safe.
I love that. And even if I can't think of specifically, or I don't want to think of something specifically to say good about myself, I go that route. And one of my favorite poems is Phenomenal Woman by Maya Angelou. And sometimes I'll just say, I am a phenomenal woman, phenomenally. And that's just a line from the poem.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is super awesome. And I heard this one too, and it's like, you write down, "I am so happy and I am grateful. I am God's highest creation. There hasn't been, never will be another person that will equal me. I am in control of my life because I'm in control of me. Whatever happens outside of me has no bearing on who I am." And you write that down as many times as you can. And I wrote it down and I was like, "Man, that's right. That's right. I'm the last of my kind." You know, we're created, we are the highest creation, and there can be and never will be another person like us. And we all carry these special abilities inside of us and gifts, whether they're spiritual gifts or um, just your natural ability to serve others. Um, and I've faced a lot of negativity and adversity over the last, 4 to 5 years. And my stuff would show up like in snapping. Like I would just get real short tempered and have these quick jabbing comebacks. Or I would, I knew if my body was dysregulated, I would procrastinate a lot. And I would do that with my college homework. I would constantly use the grace period. And I would just be like, "I'll get to it. I'll get to it. I'll get to it." And then pretty soon I'm like, "Oh no, I'm almost out of time." And I'm jumping through fiery hoops. But this procrastination that usually came from all the racing thoughts that I had, and you talked briefly about those racing thoughts. Um, and I think sometimes people will tell themselves a very big lie. And if you're telling yourself this, please break free out of that mindset. And that's, this is the end and this will never change. And it's not true. It's a complete lie that you're telling yourself.
Mm.
You have control. And if somebody else is controlling you, you need to be aware of that.
Right. And there are enough people out there that can potentially lie to you. So, yeah, don't lie to yourself. And all the parts of you, perfect or imperfect, are beautiful and make you who you are and make you like nobody else. And going back to Matt's point is that reminder that you ultimately have control of everything. You have control of how you react. You have control of what you absorb. You have a choice whether to take on guilt or not. It looks like you don't have a choice. People will manipulate you to make you feel like you don't have a choice and you're not in control. And it's noticing or even reminding yourself that you have control, even if you feel like
Huh.
you don't at that moment. And going back to writing down all those positive things. When you're writing it down, when you're saying an affirmation, you don't necessarily have to believe it at that moment. The importance is the consistency of saying it. And eventually, your opinion of yourself will change.
Mm.
I used to with my first husband, and he used to laugh at me, and I let him laugh at me. I used to put sticky notes all over the place, all over the bathroom mirror. I am beautiful. I am worthy. Uh, I can do this. I can pass this test with an A. I had them all over the place. It looked a little nuts, granted. And he would walk around and he'd say, I am beautiful. I am worthy. I let him do it. I let him do it. I let him be the joke. But every single morning, I went and each sticky I said out loud to myself, as crazy as it sound, and it worked for me. And so
Mhm.
I am a huge, huge believer in the power of affirmations.
I'm a big fan of facing your fears, like whatever the fear is. When you're looking at a fear, mm, just go. Whatever it is, if you're getting ready to take on a new career and you're scared and whatnot, just go because you're going to create all these scenarios, what ifs,
Mhm.
and the stuff is going to get jumbled up in your mind. And the way that your mind is presenting it is going to be way worse than anything that's actually going to happen. So they just disappear when you take action and you go and you make a choice to rewrite your story or to take control of all that anxiety that goes inside your body. Lauren's actually walked me through I had some anxiety one day and she was able to walk me through it. I'm so very thankful for you, Lauren.
Oh, you're
And
welcome. Always.
yeah,
One of my favorite phrases is just jump off the cliff. And I do it all the time because I am literally scared of everything. But what I have discovered is just jumping into stuff. It's amazing what I can do. And I never knew that about myself. But I thought I can choose to be scared of everything and just hide and not move forth in the world, or just jump in and then deal with whatever's thrown at me. And what I realized about myself is I'm pretty good at dealing with things that I
mm,
didn't think that I could.
not all of us can deal with the world, but we can deal with our own problems
Mhm.
and take care of what's in our control. And we worry so much about things that are completely out of our control. Mm, You got to start rewriting your story and get rid of that negative bias, because your brain is always constantly looking for the threats that's around you. And whether it's a threat to your image or how people are going to view you, who cares? Who cares?
Mm.
Somebody's always going to have a negative thought. There's so much of that out there that, and most of those people are going to project it onto you. Um, and what they're saying to you is probably what they feel about themselves. And I've seen this happen time and time again. And I know I've even done it. You just, you got to own your stress. You got to be self aware. And if there's any message that you're taking away, it's the fact that you really need to be in control of your life and stop letting everything outside of it control it. If you're
Mhm.
freaking out because the news is, blasting all kinds of stuff out there. I did delete my news apps off my phone because it was just it's stressing me out. You know,
Mhm.
anything that was negative on my social media, I got rid of it. I'm like, I can't stand this stuff. Like, and negativity sells. It
Mhm.
sells. And it's very contagious. I know we haven't said too much more about hunting the good stuff, but it's the ability to really, really look at the positives that are going on in your life, even when your life feels like it's falling apart. And everybody's had times that their life just, you're like, oh man, this sucks. My life is over. And everybody has problems, though. Everybody has problems.
Mhm.
And this storm will pass. This too will pass. You have to understand that. Most things are just temporary. I love the statement that they use for suicide, and you know, it's a permanent solution to a temporary problem. And I'm so thankful that I never succumbed to it. And by the grace of God, I'm still here. And also because the power of the very positive people that I had around me.
I love that quote that you just said. It's a permanent solution to a temporary problem, and it's a reminder that no matter what angst is around you, whether it's global, whether it's personal, that you deserve joy and peace and to be centered no matter what is going on around you. And when you realize that, and when you can hunt for the good stuff because you deserve it, you deserve better, and you deserve joy. And that will create a center where you're more productive to help, whether it's help family members, help people in the community, but it's finding that peace within you.
Mm,
That you know that you have control over that and that you absolutely deserve joy. You absolutely deserve to be happy. And
yeah.
anybody who tells you differently, you have the control not to listen to them and not to believe them.
Just realize that if your thoughts are not happy, then you're going to be unhappy. And ultimately, that's going to determine whether you're healthy or unhealthy. It could be mental health. It could be what else is going on in your body, because it'll raise up your cortisol levels. You'll start having pain all over the place. You'll gain weight and it will tear you down. And your health is the most important thing. And just starting out with some kind of happy thoughts, even if it's the worst of days, like, hey, we're going to get through this. I'm going to get through this. Imagine if I would have carried those negative thoughts like, oh, I got blown up. I hit a very large IED. And if I would have allowed that fear to take over me, I would not be able to function as a squad leader on the future missions. And let me tell you what, 72 hours after I got blown up, they're like, "Hey, Matt, you're gonna lead again," or, "Hey, Sergeant Gendron, you're gonna lead again. And by the way, it's gonna be under night vision." And I'm like, "You gotta be kidding me." Like, "No, I don't wanna do that. Oh, and hey, by the way, we're gonna give you a whole brand new driver." And I'm like, "What in the world? Are you guys trying to kill me?" So and I went out on that mission, and I did have some fear in me. And a lot of it was because I didn't trust the driver I had, and I hope he's doing well, but he had no business being in our platoon. Um, he definitely could have cost lives. So, but I let that I got rid of that fear. I just started being like, "Nope, you got a mission to do. You need to focus, and everything is gonna work out. Everything's gonna be fine." We went on and we did this mission, and, things were not fine. We ended up getting attacked. One of our guys, he got hurt going into a very mountainous, rugged terrain, and he fell and busted up his knee real bad. And then we were stagnant in an area for way too long because we had a truck that, it was buried in the mud and we couldn't get it out. And that's a prime opportunity for them to attack us. And that's exactly what they did. And thankfully, because I got rid of all that fear, I was able to have command and control. Dan was able to have command and control, and nobody got hurt. And we were able to accomplish our mission. And we're working with Afghan army. And they don't speak English. You got one interpreter that's trying to tell them what to do, and it's very frustrating. It's like I look back at it and I'm like, "Oh my goodness, it was so frustrating working with them." But I look at the positives that came out of it and I'm like, "Man, I really actually had an impact Like, I really did. These guys were able to take control of their areas in the country, and they had strengths inside of them. They were confident to go out with us. And and mentoring, foreign forces is a very big challenge, but very, very rewarding.
Amazing, and it's amazing that in that fear and that traumatic situation, you opened up yourself to the possibility of just leading and learning and listening and saving lives.
Yeah, and I'm just thankful for that because we lived in a very toxic environment where we could have, you know,
Mhm.
we could have all succumbed to negativity. And yeah,
Well, and it's being
having a little bit of a nostalgia moment here.
right, but in
So,
even being that person that chooses positivity in that moment can help lead others to positivity
yeah.
because fear is going to breed fear. Negativity is going to breed negativity. I mean, we know how easy it is to be negative.
Oh, it's super easy.
Yeah,
Super easy.
absolutely.
I talked about this the other day, oh, you and I were on the phone. I spilled my coffee all over myself.
I remember that.
Eh. And I was like, great, great. This is just gonna be the best day ever. It started off like crap. Then coffee, it burned me. And but I didn't allow it to control me. And a lot of that's because of the positive thinking that I put inside of myself. And I don't allow myself to create false stories inside of me.
Mhm.
And I'm sure you're like this too. It the awareness that you
Mhm.
have, it'll stop you from lying to yourself, and you'll start planting seeds of truth,
Mhm.
rather than the negative ones. You'll start bearing good fruit. Uh,
Definitely, and I remember growing up, yeah, I mean, I'm sure everybody's heard it, Murphy's Law. When something
mhm,
goes wrong, everything goes wrong, and I've had those days where I've woken up grouchy, I've tripped over the dog, I hit my knee, I spilled my coffee, like, everything seemingly is going wrong, and what I do now is out loud, I say, "Stop.
mm,
How do you want this day to go? Do you wanna continue on this route?" And it's always no. And I change it right there.
right,
And then I put a plan in action. This day is going to be positive. These are simply things that happen. It's not going to control the rest of the day. It's not negative. It's not positive. It's simply a thing. It's not negative or positive that I tripped over the dog. I simply tripped over the dog. It's not negative or positive that I spilled hot coffee on me. I just spilled hot coffee on me and letting that go.
yeah. And Lauren, you've done this a few times, and where you're like, give me something to motivate me so I can go do this.
Right.
And I always love that. Um, Because it's like, yeah, I get to pass on, let me motivate you, get you pumped up. I'll be your hype man. And, I brought a little army out of me and motivated you. And you're like, all right, I'm going to go. I'm going to
Yes,
go.
and I texted you, I texted you, I was at a networking event, and I was overwhelmed, and I didn't wanna be there, and I didn't wanna talk to anybody, and I texted Matt. I was like, "Help me out. I'm feeling really overwhelmed, I'm really uncomfortable," and you gave me a total soldier spiel and told me to go in the bathroom, and do what I needed to do to calm down and just get out there and do it, and I did, and it ended up being fine.
Yeah. And, and it's awesome that Lauren and I have that ability to be able to do that. And there's people that I have outside of just Lauren, whether it be my friend David, Brandon, Dan, um, my friend Rob, Ben, any one of those guys I could call. And I'm just like, thanks. You know, like just hearing their voice is enough to get me going. And my friend Brandon's going through a very, very, very tough course. in disaster management in Texas. And it's a senior uh, disaster management position, and it's very difficult. And I could kind of sense that it was starting to get to him a little bit. And he's very faith based. And so I just reminded him, I'm like, bro, you got this, dude. Like, you made it to Master Sergeant in the Army. You were a first sergeant. You led troops in combat multiple times. And this is nothing. It's just another a milestone that you're going to overcome, and you're going to be such an asset to that team. And remember that the power of God is in you because of your belief and your faith in him. So, you know, it's awesome to be able to have those people, and for me to even be able to give out some positive affirmations, it helps me a lot. And when I can't regulate my body, and I said it would bring up some of these practical exercises, and a lot of it is breathing. You do not I don't People don't realize the power of just doing, you know, whether it's box breathing, it's known as tactical breathing. And this is something that you can do, whether it's in your car. Don't do it while you're driving. It's not advisable. Definitely pull over in a safe area, not on the side of the 99. And just sit there comfortably, and just inhale through your nose for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, and then exhale through your mouth for 4 seconds, and you hold it again for 4 seconds, and you repeat that for 4 to 6 cycles, and it'll calm down your body. You're starting to regulate, you know, and you can't outthink chaos. You really can't. And your body has to be calm for first. And that's why these breathing exercises really help, or using the sensory things like Lauren was talking about, noticing what's going on around you and looking at maybe something beautiful, or maybe it's just taking a look at your kids and you're like, yeah, that's my motivation. Those are my peeps. Those are my little people. I got to be good for them. And the other one, though, and I'm a big fan of this, I use this while I'm golfing, and what's called Wim Hof. And I was taught this, and this one you need to make sure that you're definitely not driving. Um, don't do it while you're standing at all, and there's a specific reason for that. You can either sit down, lie down, just make sure you're in a safe place, and you take 30 to 40 deep breaths. Fully inhale and let them go naturally. You're doing this very quickly, though. You're almost like you're hyperventilating. And after the last exhale, you hold your breath as long as you can, comfortably. And then when the urge to inhale comes, inhale deeply for 15 seconds and then exhale. And that's just one round. And you can do 3, 4 rounds of that. And if I start getting in my head with golf, like I do most of the time, um, that's how I'll recenter myself. And a guy named Robbie, I can't ever remember his last name. He's the one that taught me that. And so I'll do it on occasion right before I'm about to take a shot. Not a shot of alcohol, but like if I'm about ready to, lay up or drive or whatever I'm gonna do, or if I just need to recenter myself prior to us doing a session. Sometimes I'll get in my head. I'll be like, "Oh man, I'm gonna be stuttery today," and yeah, those are some really, really good exercises, and it's gonna calm your nervous system, and it's gonna start signaling you're safe, and it quiets your mind so that way you can focus, and then start looking for the positive things that are going on. Start looking for the positive. Um, and Dan mentioned this. He's like, if you're in a job that you hate, that's kind of on you. Because we all have the ability to hunt for a better career. Um, Everybody has purpose. You've got to label your purpose, and sometimes it might take a while. It might take a while. It
Mm.
took me 5 years to try and figure out what my purpose was, and I'm thankful because it took 5 years to prepare for what we do now. And actually, I've been preparing for this my entire life, I would say, um, because our traumas and our experiences, whether it's as children, adolescents, young adults, whether you've been to combat or you've been in a traumatic relationship or just in some really bad scenarios, um, it has a lot of effect, but you can calm it. You can calm that storm. And using some of these breathing exercises along with journaling and writing down positive affirmations or, maybe popping on YouTube and, looking up some Tony Robbins or, some great motivational speakers. I love listening to Matthew McConaughey talk. And not just because my name's Matthew, but um, he's got some awesome, awesome things. And I highly encourage, if you're in a wallow, then find something positive. Do not allow
Mhm.
yourself to sit there like that. And these breathing exercises, though, they flood your body with oxygen, and that's going to build mental toughness, and it trains your nervous system to function under pressure, which is really, really important. Like I use it for golf. I still don't shoot good. You know, I shoot average, like around a 96. So I like to tell myself sometimes, like if I shoot just like say I shoot 100, I'm like, oh, I just shot four over average, and which is a horrible, horrible score, by the way. It's not good. Um, but I'll get better. I will
Yeah.
get better. So, um, but these are just structured resets, and Lauren's got her own grounding practices, and
Well, I would say I would agree the power of breath. Um, don't diminish it. Even when you think there's no time, there's always time to take a deep breath. Even when you're about to say something that could be damaging or snippy, if you take a deep breath, it can quickly change your mind. And it can also quickly center you. You can do the box breathing or the other tools, but even just breathing, that deep breath for a moment when you think that there's no time. And Buddha said, if you don't like where you are, go somewhere else. That could mean changing physical, but it could also mean changing mental. You can create anything that you want. If you want to create a better space, you can create it. Some changes might take patience and you might have to wait a little longer, but going back to that control. So if you don't want to be that hurtful person that snaps at people and is grouchy, stop, take a breath, and go somewhere else
yeah,
mentally, emotionally.
yeah, I like that.
And nothing is a quick fix. Everything takes practice. So, also giving yourself grace if it doesn't work. And I may have spoken to this point before, but I often think that I'm in perpetual hindsight. I don't handle a situation the way that I would have liked to, or it hasn't gone the way it would like to, but giving myself grace around it, looking at what I could learn from how badly it went and what I can do better next time, what I can strive to do better next time. That might be taking a breath, that might be yelling into a pillow, whatever it is, but giving myself grace when it doesn't go perfectly or go the way that I want, and understanding that this is something that you progress, is something you get better at, it's something that you do with practice.
Yeah, we any activities that we did in the military, any training exercises. We always, at the end of the day or at the end of whatever the training exercise was or whatever the mission was, there's a debrief. And it's called an AAR, which stands for After Action Review. and you take the three bad things, or what three things didn't go that well, and then what three things did go well. And that's really important. If you can AAR your day, if you can take that time to write down, maybe the three things that you want to change for tomorrow, or that you want to remove, and but what went well, hunt the good stuff. Don't focus on that negative, but at least acknowledge it. Be like, okay, yeah, hey, that didn't go right. Um, it could be, I was gonna be I felt so bad. I was supposed to help some friends, or a friend, with his VA claim, and my day got blown out. And but I was able to take back that control because it was just a very overwhelming day. I had a session with Gigi that morning, and luckily the guy gave me grace, and he was like, "Hey, listen, I know you got a lot going on, man." And um, I was able to recenter and refocus, and I got him taken care of the next day. So, um, because VA claims are very, very stressful. You got to make sure you say the right things. You want to be honest. You have to do narratives, and if it's not done properly, you you know they could just deny you. So for me, when I show up for veterans, like I'm there all the way, like checked in, like I got you, and it's more like a mindset reset, you know, and once your body's calm, your mind can shift. You know, do I really want my day to keep going this way? Or this day is hard, or nah, this is just temporary. And positive beliefs become very self-fulfilling. There, oh my goodness, the power of positive beliefs. Um, you
And
know,
stick with it. The AAR, the review of your day, it will always be the easiest to pick out all the things that didn't go well, the 3 things that didn't go well and that you might wanna try and do better. But sit with it and really, really try to not walk away until you come up with 3 things that went well. They are always there, I promise you.
yeah, yeah. I like the affirmation, this too shall pass. I'm in control of my life because I'm in control of me. I'm in control of I'm in control of my life because I'm in control of me. And standing in front of a mirror and just seeing yourself say that out loud, it's powerful. And words, they're weapons, and you can speak life into yourself, and you'll begin to believe it. You'll begin to believe it, and you'll end up showing up kinder, more apologetic, maybe, and you'll start to feel better. Like it'll be like there's a bunch of stress that is just pulled off of you. And but like I said, words are weapons. So if you're not speaking life into your self, and you're only speaking negativity into yourself, then you're going to believe that. And that's not where you want to be.
Mm-mm. The power to become what you say is very real.
Hmm.
And so if you say things to yourself negatively often enough, if it's not an affirmation, but something negative, you will become that. You will become that and you will start to believe that. And so changing the narrative and making it an affirmation and making it positive
Yeah.
um, is really important.
Yeah. Emotional resilience is um is something we should all practice. And there's a lot of relationships that fail because neither party has the resilience to bounce back from it. And, you know, I like the whole speak or think twice, speak once. Pause before you react, you know. And if you're doing like a vent session, make sure the person that you're talking to, make sure they understand that you're just venting. That you're not looking for any unsolicited advice. Like I just got a vent. Um, I've had people do that with me. I'm like, hey, how do you want me to show up for you? And they're like, I just need you to listen to me. I'm like, all right, cool. That means shut up, Matt. Listen. So otherwise I will give you unsolicited advice or my opinion. Um, and make sure it's with safe people. And because if they're gonna hurt you back, you're never gonna heal. Um, I said this before, when I was drowning in negativity, I chased unhealthy relationships. I sucked as a boyfriend. Um, I thought that pain, though, was better than numbness. And, but once I could start regulating, it showed me another way. And I didn't need to keep destroying myself to feel alive. And I think that's so important. Um, and I'm coming from a place of, and I'm telling you, I've been down, down, down. And to the point where I'm like, all is lost. What's the point? Just end it. And, you know, taking a temporary problem and turning it into something that could have been permanent. I don't know. It's just I ended up getting around a very positive sergeant major, and he would speak life into me, and he'd be like, "All right, Sergeant G, let's go, get it together." Um, and I like the thought that strong people, they don't just push harder. You can a lot smarter and be more present and control your emotions. And that's resiliency right there. Ooh, your ability to bounce back. It's so important. It's not the fall, it's what happens when you get back up. Where the positivity that you bring to yourself, it'll rewire your brain and it'll counter any negative bias that you have. Like we've said before, whether it was with Dan or you've read it somewhere, stack the small wins. They count. Be grateful for them. Gratitude builds resilience. You know, we talked about this before, noticing three good things and how it can shift your perspective instantly. The ability for negativity is an automatic thing and positive is a choice. And you have to really hunt that every single day. And some days it's going to be hard to see it, especially if you're going through some really tough times, if you're, maybe grieving the loss of a loved one or going through a breakup, maybe you lost your job or, any one of those things. And, just reflecting, it's awareness. And self-awareness is definitely ground zero for change. Perf Perfectionism, it'll definitely kill growth, you know? I like the saying from Vince Lombardi, "If we chase perfection, we can catch excellence." That one right there, we'll catch excellence. And, yeah, we might not be excellent to everybody else, but we can be excellent for the people that matter. And for our families, for our friends, for our, um, it could be collaborative partners, you know? Imagine if I showed up on here with like negativity. Um, this would be a very doom and gloom kind of thing. But I got a question for you, Lauren.
Okay.
And that's it. So if someone feels like there's no good stuff to hunt, what would you tell them to start with?
What I would tell them to start with is say something good about yourself. Remind yourself of a good quality that you have. And the next was an important word that you said earlier, which is awareness. It's about awareness. So after you say something positive about yourself, a positive quality, we all have them, even at our worst moments. Go back through your day and be present, because not noticing the good stuff is from not being present, because it's always there. And start right in the morning. Maybe your dog ran up to you, because they always love you. They always run up to you. They're always happy. Maybe it's somebody who smiled at you. Maybe somebody let you merge on the freeway. Something positive happened. You just didn't notice it. So going back to that awareness and thinking about how your day started, you'll find something, because you're no longer in that negative mindset, or you're no longer where your mind is filled with thoughts and you're not noticing the things around you. And it may even be a catalyst to, oh wow, the woman at the grocery store smiled at me, or oh yeah, somebody didn't cut me off, or I saw a happy dog. Whatever the case may be, it's out there. And so the first thing is to recalibrate and say something good about yourself. Like say
Yeah.
that you have a good quality. And then going to the awareness of going back through your day from the beginning.
Mm.
You smelled coffee and it was just delicious. You remember the smell of the coffee as it was brewing. It could be something as simple as that. That is a good thing.
Yeah.
At least I think so.
I think so as well. Gets my day going.
Mhm.
So, gotta have some coffee in the morning. Um, so as we close up, I just want you to remember this. Regulation is not a weakness, it's a strength. It's the difference between reacting and responding, between surviving and thriving. And that's why hunting the good stuff matters. It retrains your focus, it rewires your brain, and reminds you that even in the storm, there's something worth holding on to. So I'm going to leave you with this challenge. Tonight, write down 3 good things, doesn't matter how small they are, and then ask why they happened. And then do it again tomorrow and build that repetition. Train your brain. Resilience isn't built in the big moments, it's built in the daily repetitions. And like we always say, live on purpose, speak life, be humble, take care of each other. Forward we go.